Welcome to the party. I'm not here right now, but I want you to listen very carefully. These guys are very funny, so pay attention. Enough talk. It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Bags of Action episode 44. My name's Steve, my co-host is Pete.
Hello.
This evening we are talking about the 2016 film The Nice Guys, directed and written by one of our favourites, Shane Black.
Indeed, we are.
So this was on Netflix, it's still on Netflix I should say,
Yep.
And I hadn't seen it before, I only saw it about a month ago. I missed it at the cinema for some reason. I don't know why. I
don't think it had a very long run, if I remember rightly. Mm. No, I hadn't seen it before either, which is very strange. It's a film that we both should have seen before, really. But you know, that's good. Another good reason to do the show. So
yeah, we're catching up on things that we missed at the cinema somehow. So, but yes, it's sounds like our ideal film. It's got Russell Crowe in, who I really like, and Ryan Gosling. It's directed by Shane Black, and it's kind of a action crime comedy with two main leads, so it sounds perfect, and yet somehow we missed it. But anyway, we've seen it now and we're ready.
We have, and if you haven't seen it, perhaps you want to go and see it before you listen to us chat about it.
As ever, we're going to spoil the film a lot, so there you go, you've been warned.
So as you say, written and directed by Shane Black, but it's co-written by someone who hadn't written anything before, from what I could see. A guy called Anthony Bagger. I was going to call him Anthony Bag of Action. That is not his name. Anthony Bagger-Rosie, who's I think now doing Doc Savage with him as well. But it's interesting. I think notice that most of Shane Black's stuff, apart from Monster Squad, I think he's always written on his own when he was just writing, but since he's been directing, he tends to have co-writers. So Drew Pearce co-wrote Iron Man 3 with him. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang I think he wrote on his own, but I guess that was an adaptation of a novel, so he had some help along the way.
Okay. So, excellent. So where do you want to start with this?
Well, should we tell people what it's about?
Yeah. Okay. So I've seen this twice now. I saw it a month ago, and then I said, let's watch it again, and you hadn't. But, okay, so it's set in the 1970s, and it follows a pair of private investigators looking for a missing girl following the sudden mysterious death of a porn star called Misty Mountains.
Indeed.
So given on that premise, and that it's Shane Black, was it, now that you've seen the film, was it the kind of film that you were expecting?
Yes and no, because one of my notes here is that it's almost halfway between Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Last Boy Scout or Lethal Weapon, because it's kind of for me, it's halfway between the kind of slightly more esoteric left of center take that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is, and then it's still got some of the bigger, more bombastic, even though it's a relatively small film these days, it's still got some of the kind of blockbuster moments. But it's a Shane Black. It's not set at Christmas. That is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's not set at Christmas. Well, we're going to spoil it anyway, and if you haven't seen it, you said. But the final scene, which jumps forward to Christmas, which I think is beautifully self-referential. It's not. It's interesting to see a period piece from him as well. Yeah.
I can kind of see why they did it, given the story, because if it wasn't set in the 70s, you'd have social media, you'll have mobile phones and all the rest of it, and you could kind of get around a lot of some of the plot points very easily.
Yeah.
And it would just be boring, really. So because they were more restricted, because technology was much more basic, it relied on two guys going around and sorting stuff out, knocking on doors.
And I think punching lots of people in the face.
Yep.
It leans into things like Chinatown, and a lot of the kind of 70s conspiracy thrillers as well, which I think is interesting. I mean, it's got kind of a modern sheen to it, but no, it's I think it's believably of the era. My favourite thing really is seeing Russell Crowe in a role like this.
It reminds me a little bit in some ways of LA Confidential.
Yes, very true.
Not just because it's got Russell Crowe as a hard man and Kim Basinger in it as well, which they were together in that film, of course, on screen together. And it's got a little bit of that. The period stuff makes me think of LA Confidential. There's all of the crime stuff. The comedy and the weird shit is obviously totally its own creature. Yes. And there's some hilariously bizarre moments that I loved. And here's the thing, though. I can see why some people wouldn't have liked this film.
Yeah, it's had quite mixed reviews.
Yeah, because it's just, as you said, a bit left of the field. It's got some really odd bits in. And if you're not... This is the other thing. The first time I watched it, I said to you, it made more sense to me the second time. If you're not paying attention when you watch this film, you will miss stuff.
There's so much happened at the start. Like, there's little scenes that give you so much. They give you clues, but they give you little character things. And at first, it almost feels like they've just thrown loads of random scenes at you.
Yeah.
For the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I think you have to get in the groove of the film. Like 10 minutes in, I was like, oh, there's so many coincidences and contrivances and so many things that are deliberately there to make you laugh. I wonder if this film feels a bit forced. And then it gets into its rhythm and you're like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, I'm on board now. But it just needs a bit of patience, I think, to kind of... The penny dropped for me about 20 minutes in and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was well and truly along for the ride then.
Yeah, and you do have to pay attention all the way through because, as you said, there's one bit when he sat on the diving board of the pool and he tells a story. Russell Crowe tells a story to Ryan Gosling's character. And if you're not paying attention, there's like 2 things later on or 3 references. And equally... He tells this really weird story to Ryan Gosling before they go into a building. And it's really short. And he's like, why can't you just say that was the point of the story? And then there's an odd bit later in the swimming pool. And if you weren't paying attention, you'd be going, what the hell's that? So it just freaked me out at first because I'd missed it, I think. Yeah. But with the Nixon thing, but it was so good.
I definitely want to watch it again to pick up on anything I might have missed. But no, it's pretty relentless as well.
It is. Yeah. Well, we should talk about some of the weird stuff. So there's that story that he tells Ryan Gosling's character about Nixon and the whole thing of it's all to do with perspective. And then he falls into the pool towards the end of the film. And there's a man in a Nixon mask swimming towards him, which is really freaky. There's the dream he has whilst driving the car.
With the bee?
Yeah, with a 6-foot bee smoking in the back of the car, talking to them. but equally, that's the moment where he's got the ankle holster. And then later on, when he's awake, he jumps up Russell Crowe's ankle and he's like, what are you doing? He goes, go over your ankle holster. I haven't got an ankle holster. You have. He goes, wait. Did I dream that?
I know.
Yes.
It's this film feels to me like all the bits that Shane Black has put in scripts before that have been taken out when someone else made them.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's because now he's directing himself. It's like, well, he can do whatever he wants because this. It felt like he's having fun with it because every now and then he just like this scene was purely to make me laugh. That's the only reason this thing happened. And I love the fact that, Ryan Gosling is so he's just like the epitome of bad luck in every scene at the start. It's just like he ends up with an injury by the time every scene is ended.
He tries to break into that bar.
Oh, and he cuts his, yeah.
Oh, God, and it's horrible because
it's horrible.
He asks this bartender for information and the guy won't give it to him. So he
gives him
closed. Yeah, he gives him the little a dollar bill, but he's dressed it up as a
shirt. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, he goes, that shirt? He goes, yeah. And he goes, okay, no, not giving you anything. But yeah, he goes back to the bar and the bar's closed at the back door, and he's going to punch open the window like you've seen people do 100 times in films. Yeah. He's even wrapped his hand in a handkerchief, and he punches through the pane of glass, and the pane of glass cuts his wrist. And then he's gushing, and he's like, oh, God. And then he's in an ambulance at the hospital.
So the first sort of 15 minutes, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Where is this going? And then it does all make sense, and and things like the protest group. It's. I mean, I think always Shane Black's dialogue is very, very witty. Mm-hmm. And there's stuff. I think the other reason to set it in the 70s is because there's quite a lot of misogyny in here, and there's a lot of kind of things that you don't. I put here nudity, swearing, and smoking. It's a bit like Boogie Nights. You got all the things in this film that you don't see very often anymore.
Yes.
And then the typical Shane Black thing of throwing a child in amongst all this crazy, very grown up stuff.
Yes.
And she's almost playing the part of the girl from Inspector Gadget, in a way, because. Again, it's a bit like some other Private Eye things where they do get closer and closer to the information, but it's not necessarily through their ability.
No,
it's kind of it's a lot of it is luck, being in the right place at the right time, and again, say like his daughter being like the girl from Inspector Gadget, she actually does a lot more of the working stuff out than they do.
Yeah,
yeah. Which again, in less skilled hands, would have been really mawkish and really odd. There are some uncomfortable points. You're like, why is she in that party at that age? Yeah, but it does work.
Do you want to talk about the scene at the party then? Because it's kind of a critical one to the film in some ways, where they've basically found out that this guy, adult film director, is going to be there. Yep. Sid Shattuck, and they're going to get information from him, hopefully, to try and find this missing girl. And they've teamed up finally. But they go to this party, and it is weird. It's in Hollywood Hills, and there's people in fancy dress, and God, there's that bit where Russell Crowe's character someone gives him a drink, and he doesn't want it because he doesn't drink, but he takes it anyway, and then he's looking for somewhere to put it down, so he puts it down on a table, and then it pans down, and you realise it's a woman bent upside down like an acrobat. It's like, sorry.
And the great moment is like 5 minutes later, you see an old guy do the same thing.
The callback,
the whole film is riddled with callbacks.
Yeah.
Every gag has a double payoff.
It is, yeah. But yeah, she sneaks. The girl originally is in the boot of the car, so they put her back in a taxi and send her home. Then they go in, and then they're wandering around the party. And Ryan Gosling's character, he's so useless. He's already slit his own wrist whilst trying to break into a building. He's had his arm broken by Russell Crowe as a warning. And now he gets in there and he's trying to ask people for information, and he can't really get anywhere. And then the bartender says, look, stop bothering people, have a drink. Yeah. It's a free bar. And his eyes just light up.
I know. And he just gets progressively more drunk and more useless. And actually, it's him being drunk and falling down, which...
I love it. He's just Russell Crowe's looking around. He finds March's daughter in there, and she's watching a porno.
Oh, yeah.
But then he goes out and he's still looking for him. And you see the mermaid swim past. You see Ryan Gosling swim past. Oh, he's just absolutely smashed. And then later on, he's like, what were you doing? Why are you wet? And he goes, well, I went for a swim. Why? I had to question the mermaids.
I don't blame him.
This film is hilarious.
And I think as well, it's, everyone knows Shane Black for his, humorous dialogue as much as anything else. But here, it's like there's slapstick comedy, there's physical comedy, and the wit all together. So the more I think, the more I'm laughing to myself here, just kind of remembering so many different things, because it kind of gets you on the ropes with one gag, and then you're kind of trying to work out what's going to happen next, and then it hits you like 3 or 4 times with something else, and it's relentless. Once you get into that groove, I say, if you don't get into that groove, you may not like it. But I think if you like Shane Black, then there's loads to like here. And I thought there were lots of callbacks to some of his other work as well.
Right.
Because I'm just thinking, buddy, they're not cops, but buddies are something that he's written a lot of. Yeah. Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. As you said, there's a fall into a swimming pool, which also happens in Lethal Weapon, I think.
Yes, there is. They both go off the balcony into the pool and
So there's
the guy.
Yeah, this feels like a few moments that are kind of his staple things, but it still feels really fresh and really different. It's great to see Keith David in a good role.
Yes.
And the fight between him and Russell Crowe is amazing.
Oh, that's at the party where he's already had a fight with him and the blue-faced guy.
Yeah. And that scene's amazing as well.
Yeah, because he's like Russell Crowe's. He goes around and beats people up for money, basically intimidates them or punches them in the face and warns them off. So he knows tough guys, and he says to the guy, "You're doing it all wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't do it." Now you just pissed me off, and then he just takes them apart, and it's brilliant.
And what I liked about it as well is I believe that if Russell Crowe hit you in the face, it would really hurt.
Oh yeah,
and you know, even though he's not the most
trim
knowledge. That's true. That is true. I wasn't going to say that, but that is true. But he's got heft. He's got a bit of weight behind his punch.
Yep.
But even though he's not the most skilled private eye, you wouldn't cross him.
No.
And nobody would. And I think that scene again reminds me a bit of Last Boy Scouts. You've got the scene where Bruce Willis's character is tied up and being beaten up, and he's just giving verbal, isn't he, all the way through?
Yeah.
And while he sizes up the thing, and this isn't quite like that, but it's just. When the guy gets the blue stuff on his face, it's just very funny. It's just very funny. And then he's throwing fish at him.
Yeah.
Why are you throwing fish at me? You're throwing fish at me. You're still throwing fish at me. It's
what do you think that was going to get you? What, really? Why?
And it's like, in other things, you've got, someone who's been, Riggs was someone who'd been bereaved and was drinking, which is a bit like... Ryan Gosling's character, and so there's almost elements of all of the things that he does really well, but I think by putting it in the 70s and actually by really good casting, because like Ryan Gosling gets to be in lots of good things, he gets lots of good parts. Russell Crowe is in lots of things of varying quality levels, but Russell, going back to like The Quick and the Dead, I remember and Romper Stomper and stuff, I remember Gladiator, like Russell Crowe to me was just like a cut above, really. And then as the film industry has changed, the parts have kind of got different, and he's got older and, as you say, larger. Not quite Marlon Brando, but but this was, to me, was the perfect role for him.
Yeah. I mean, I've not seen Ryan Gosling in a lot of films, but in this, his comedy timing was perfect. He was he sold everything so well. Like, his character's such a coward, and he's so useless. And the physical comedy that he does is brilliant. Like when he takes his daughter for her birthday to the bowling alley, and all the kids are bowling, and he goes to read a magazine on the toilet, and Russell Crowe comes in to talk to him, and he realizes someone's there, and but he pulls out his gun, and he's trying to pull up his pants, but also cover his crotch, and yet keep the toilet door open. And it's so good. It's just so well done.
It is so well done. It's the sort of part you might have expected someone like Sam Rockwell to do, but you wouldn't really expect it to be Ryan Gosling.
No, and the way he squeals when ever he gets injured, it's so good. He's just so... I've never seen him do a role like this. Like, you watch him in Driver, and he's so cold, and he says very little, and then when he has... anything, when the violence comes out, it's kind of scary. In this, March is such a buffoon, and yet he's not as stupid as he looks all of the time, because he says to his daughter, worst PI in the world, and yet every now and then he pulls something out of the hat that proves that he's not stupid.
It's interesting with both of them, because Russell Crowe gets, I've heard stories about how intimidating he can be, but whenever you see him on chat shows, he's really funny, disarmingly funny, but playing up the fact he's quite intimidating. And equally, Ryan Gosling on chat shows is hilarious and does this kind of self-deprecating thing, and so it's almost it feels like they're almost being themselves more, but exaggerated, which I think works really well. And again, like all Shane Black things, it's the charm and the chemistry of the two leads, and it takes longer for them to kind of befriend each other in this than maybe in some of the other things, but you do, where it's going. By the end they're going to be buddies, but it's believable, I think.
And you're right, Russell Crowe's character is pretty scary in some ways, because there's not just the fact that he beats up guys. There's a bit where you realise what kind of a man he is, because he's already said to the blue-faced guy, next time I see you, it's going to be the end of you. And then he finally catches up to him after he's just been hit by a minibus that then drove off. And he said, Holly's about to warn him. She goes, watch out for that. And he goes, no. Amelia doesn't say, no, don't say anything. And then he gets hit by the bus. But anyway, and Russell Crowe's character says, oh, go get help. I'll stay here with him. And he just strangles him to death.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's really dark. But she redeems him. I like the fact that the young girl basically, I think she twigs later on what kind of a man he is. Because she asks him stuff and he lies.
Yeah. She keeps saying, are you a good man?
Because she asked her dad that early on, and he says, now be honest. She goes, no, you're awful. You're an awful person. But she wants, Russell Crowe's character, Jackson Healy, what Mr. Healy, as she calls him, to be a good man, to be a nice man. And she asks him that, and he says, yeah, of course I didn't do anything to him. Yeah. But she works it out because she's really clever, and later on basically saves John Boy from being strangled to death by Russell Crowe again.
I know.
So a dark character, but who has an arc. Everyone's got an arc in this film.
Everyone does, And actually, just speaking before about things, say the protest group scene.
Yes,
I was crying with laughter because that's a protest group. It's a protest group. Yes, it's a protest group. It's a protest group. And
Stop
why are you lying?
Protest group.
Why are you lying on the ground? Why are you like? Wouldn't the gas mask have saved you? And it's just like, it's so funny. And then he treads on someone's hand.
Yeah.
But even that, which I felt was like a massively throwaway scene, which had no bearing on anything, is a hugely key plot point.
Yeah.
It is almost the crux of the whole film in a throwaway comedy scene. Mm-hmm. And I do like the fact that I don't think anyone other than Shane Black could get away with this film in a way, because, like you say, so many things are just coincidences, contrivances, or just like a chain of events, but it works really, really well.
Yeah. Did you recognise John Boy as Matt Bomer? He's been in things like White Collar on TV that I've watched for a few years. That's really good. Playing the hitman John Boy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very, very cool. He's very cold and very icy and very clever. And I love it when they finally get to the right apartments and they go up to the top floor after he's questioned the barman. And they get up to the top and then they just hear bullets and a man stumbles past bleeding from his neck. Someone gets shot. They just get back in the lift and go down again. And someone goes out the window and goes past them.
That's right.
It's like, oh no. And it's John Boy cleaning house. Oh dear. It's just like, that they're tough guys, but they're not going to walk into a bloodbath. They'll just like, yeah, we'll wait.
I think as well, like, because again, that first 10, 15 minutes, it does seem very over the top and kind of quite shocking. But because it's Shane Black, at some point there's going to be a heart to it. So there is the relationship with the daughter, there is their friendship. But where I think it weakens a little bit is once Kim Bassinger's in it. And that's not because of her particularly, but I think as it tries to do more story-wise and plot-wise near the end, I think it loses its way is probably too far. But it gets harder to kind of to buy, I think. I don't know what you think.
Well, I don't know, because he's been setting things up from the beginning that March has taken this job from this blind woman, almost blind. She's got terrible thick glasses, saying that she's seen her niece who died in the first 3 minutes of the film. And this old woman's claiming that she's seen her 2 days after she was dead. So from the beginning, there again, what seems like a throwaway thing keeps being called back and called back, and then investigating the film, and then it does mount the fact that the film meant more than that. There had to be more to it. It couldn't just be they've killed 5 people for a film. It's like, so what was in the film? So he's planted all of these seeds from the beginning, which, as I said, I probably got more from seeing it a second time. So he made it larger at the end by bringing in all of the stuff to do with the car manufacturers and pollution, which ties into that scene, the protest scene.
Yes, it does.
You mentioned, and the birds. And there's a great callback where they're in a taxi going home. And Russell Crowe says, Ryan Gosling says that maybe they're right. Maybe the birds, we are suffocating the birds. It's just, it's just a little tiny moment. But it ties to everything.
I think maybe the other thing there, I guess, is that underneath they're far better detectives than they realise, because they're always thinking things through, and they do come to the right solution, just in a very haphazard, unorthodox way with giant bumblebees.
But they also lose as well, because they're trying to find Amelia for a large portion of the film and protect her, and they finally get her, and then she panics and runs off thinking that John Boy's going to get her. Yeah. And then they drive John Boy off, and she's runs next to his car, and he just shoots her in the face and drives off, and that's it. So she died. Everybody else who worked on the film died, but they were too late to stop any of that. That was before their time, really.
But I think there's an element, because at the start it feels just like, well, these random things are happening. That's not how things are. But actually, that's not how films are. Yeah. That's actually probably more closer to reality. The fact that she just gets shot and he just stumbles across her is, and it is very, it's very 70s for the conspiracy to not really be sorted at the end, but everyone knows what happened. But it hasn't made much difference. Really, it's very, that's very in keeping with 70s films.
It's a real origin story for the two of them working together as detectives. It's like if this was the first of several films, you'd believe it. You'd be like, oh, right, okay, yeah.
I would like them to do more. I don't think they will, but I would like them to.
You could do it as a TV series, I reckon. It'd be so good, just like a 10-episode Netflix thing with these two guys. Because it's funny at the same time as being action, and being in the 70s is a bit different. So there's a lot of modern TV. So I think that would work really well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
But I don't think they'd get those two actors to do a TV series. I think if it was someone else, then that would work. If it was another film, you might get them back. But I don't think you did well enough at the box office to justify them.
No, sadly not.
Sadly. Because it's too weird. I think it's just too weird for people.
And that's what's so good about it, though. I think.
It's funny and unexpected and bizarre and quirky and just packed full of jokes. It's just...
Yeah. And again, it's like, it's an action comedy, but it's not an action comedy in the kind of tongue-in-cheek way. It's more gritty, but hilarious. I genuinely was laughing out loud, which... is a rarity in films, and it is part of that Shane Black magic that things that he can do which no one else can do. But I think it's, in a way, by adding all the other types of humour alongside the dialogue, just makes this. I've certainly not seen a film like it before.
No, I wonder, because we know he's great at writing jokes. I wonder if any of it was ad-libbed at all, because there are moments like. Right, and I think all of them come from Ryan Gosling as well. This is what made me wonder if some of them were ad-libbed. So there's a bit where he's talking to his daughter and they have to go out on work again. And he says, go and stay with Jessica. And Holly says, oh, no, it's Janice. And he goes, which one's she? The one I don't like? He goes, no, the one with the glass eye. Well, that's the bit where he's talking to Tally and she's all dressed up in the fancy dress towards the end and looks really nice. And he's like, how do you do that with your hair? That's amazing. And he's just, he's so enraptured with her and he's trying to appeal to her better nature. And obviously that bit was scripted, but just some of the little bits around the edge. I really wonder. And if it isn't, it just proves how great the script is.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm looking up on an interview here as to whether they were allowed to ad-lib or not, but they don't. They kind of make jokes in their replies. So they don't really answer the question.
But it's just so funny. There's that kid on the bike when they go to the house, and he wanted to be in the porno film, and they're like, "No, I don't think so." And he's like, "Give me $20, I'll show you it." He's like, "No."
I know that is like again, it's uncomfortable. You're like, why is this young boy saying that? But then you're laughing. It's that uncomfortable humour.
But then Ryan Gosling's character saying, "This is the world my daughter's growing into, where a kid offers me pay me $20. And in some ways, it's a weird commentary on modern day, I think, which is quite and quite telling and stuff. Because he sort of says, "This is what my daughter's growing up in. This is the world she's coming up in." And I'm thinking,
you wait, mate.
Yeah, it's the 70s, but wait till you get to 2017. Wait till you get social media. Oi, it's even worse. But yeah, it's just.
Well, they do say here actually that sometimes Ryan Gosling would take a left step from what was on the page, and then Russell would follow him.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. That's good. But yeah, it makes sense that Gosling would lead because he's got the more quirky, weird character. I mean, Russell Crowe plays it fairly straight. His character isn't nearly as humorous. He's got some great moments, but he's not nearly as ridiculous as Ryan Gosling.
He is the straight man of the two, but it's still... of the films, of the other Shane Black scripted films, probably in a way, the relationship reminds me the most of Lethal Weapon in some ways. So they're both funny, but for very different reasons. Did you see any of the viral clips and the ads that were done for it?
No.
It was all around the Nice Guys Detective Agency, which I think it makes me think they were hoping to do more.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen them. We can actually put a link into them or something.
Yeah.
Show people.
We should.
Oh God, I like you. I laughed all the way through this film.
Yeah.
It just even the violence and stuff, like the way that Ryan Gosling's character, he has so many ridiculous escapes that at one point he basically says, I think I'm invulnerable. I don't think I could be. I know. And it's like, he fell off the balcony when he was pretending to be shot by that woman, found the dead body. He falls off the roof with Keith David's character.
Yeah.
When he lands in the pool, Keith David's character lands on the side and just splats. He falls through when he's going for the film, and he falls through stuff and like on top of stuff, and he's just like, I think I'm immortal.
When he falls down that hill, backwards, and
it's just so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, even his character has an arc where the fact that he gets drunk all the time at a free bar, he'll get drunk. He's not really a good detective.
I read a few of the IMDb reviews, not critics' reviews, like people's reviews, and the things that people didn't like seem to be the things that I did like. So a lot of people saying, you never really understood why his wife died or why his house had been burnt down. It's like that. I like the fact you didn't get told.
Yeah.
Because, again, there's so many things where they do exposition and backstory, and it's like, in reality, you're meeting these two people for the first time, and they're only telling each other a certain amount of stuff. So as an audience, you only know that stuff. I think in this film, typical detective film, I suppose, we only find things out really as they do.
Yeah.
We're not really ever privy to anything extra, which I think when his work has been done by other directors, they kind of have fallen into the Hollywood thing of you can see what's happening over here when they can't. But what I like that about this, it just, you kind of, you get a sense of their relationship because you're along for the ride, I guess. And then we mentioned before, I was like, well, there's Shane Black, cynical humour, quite dark humour, quite adult themes, a kid in the centre of the action, that's buddies, but it's not Christmas, that's weird. And then the final scenes are almost like, well, okay, you're expecting Christmas, here's Christmas. And they're together at Christmas. And yes, they are buddies, they have become really good friends, and this is, so it's very kind of self-referential, I think. But really, really enjoyed it.
Is there anything else you want to say, or are you ready to do some scores?
I think that's it. We've kind of been bright and breezy, but I think if people have watched it, watch it again. And if you haven't watched it and you've listened to this, we haven't actually given too much away, really, not specifics.
Really. No, not
so
specific. But there's a lot in the film. Enjoy it.
There's a lot, but there's so much to talk about but it's all nuance. So you almost can't describe it. There's so many. I'm definitely going to watch it again pretty soon as well because because you've seen it twice. I think there's probably things that I missed, but also it's just very funny, and it's a film that deserves repeat viewings, I think.
Yeah, it does. And as you say, the first 15 minutes, you're not really sure what's going on or what's happening. But on a second viewing, you're not watching it for the story, as it were. You're watching it for all the things you missed, catching up on all the jokes you didn't see the first time, and just enjoying the ride. It's weird that I come back to certain films that I really, really like because I want to watch them again. And even though I know the story, I still enjoy it. And it's the same with this. I just thought, right, I know kind of what I'm getting because I saw it the first time, but I'm sure there's stuff I've missed. So I've gone back and it's the little jokes, the little nods, just the great little things all the way through.
I think that of all the screenwriters out there almost, Shane Black has some of the most things that stand up to the most repeat viewings. Yeah, just because of the way that he writes. I'm interested now to see what he does with Predator. 'Cause I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah, the new Predator.
Yeah, because he did rewrites, I believe, on the original. Because he wasn't officially credited, but obviously he was in it.
Yes.
Which I think we talked about when we covered the if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to our Predator episode, guys.
Yep.
And gals. The rumour was always that they couldn't give, for union rules, I think, they couldn't get him to do rewrites and credit him that way. So they cast him in the film so he could be on set writing the dialogue, things like the stuff in the helicopter, and a lot of the kind of comedy lines that were in the film. Rumours are that he wrote, which I guess is why. But it's him and Fred Decker, I think, writing it, who wrote Monster Squad with him, and then obviously he's directing. But we shall see. I don't know. To me, the first one is kind of lightning in a bottle. I know a lot of people really like the second one, but we shall see.
I mean, I've enjoyed almost all of the films that he's done. I really liked Iron Man 3. I know some people did.
I love Iron Man 3. It could even be my favourite superhero film, full stop.
Well, it's definitely my favourite of the Iron Man films, for sure.
Yeah.
Because
me too.
Some people are saying, I wanted to be more like number 2. And I thought, hang on, you've just had 2 films of a bloke in a suit fighting another bloke in a suit. You just had 2 films of that. Do you really want a third one? It's exactly the same. It's like, go back and watch them. And then when you're bored and you want something a bit different, watch 3, where he's outside the suit. It's exploring the character, exploring about who he is without the suit. It's funnier, it's wittier, it's faster paced. So 3 is brilliant. Origin stories, if you don't know them, they can be very handy. I knew the Iron Man story, but I still enjoyed it. The second one, it was okay. But the third one is brilliant. It's just so well done. It ties into, obviously, the first Avengers film and all that kind of stuff. It's got a comedy kid in, once again.
Now, I'm just looking, because he hasn't done much stuff. I think we talked about this before. Shane Black suffered from quite bad, kind of low self-esteem about his work. So he had a long time when he wasn't writing anything.
Yeah.
A really long time, in fact. So Long Kiss Goodnight was 1996, and the next thing that he wrote, which he also directed, was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005. So 9 years gap. But I mean, I've seen, I think, everything he's written apart from, I haven't seen the Monster Squad, which is embarrassing.
I haven't seen that either, no.
Okay. And I haven't seen Edge, which is a TV movie he did in 2015.
No, I mean,
I haven't seen that, but I've seen everything else. Okay, it's not very many. And the only one I didn't really like was Long Kiss Goodnight, but I know that he thinks that's the best adaptation of his screenplays.
I liked that one, actually. I thought that was really, really good. Interesting. But yeah, he's fantastic. And isn't there a kid in the new Predator film as well?
I think so.
I'm sure I saw on the cast. I thought,
and it's at Christmas.
No.
No, I don't know.
I was going to say, come on. But it's got an all-star cast in it again. It's
Olivia Munn is in it.
Ivan Strahovski, Keegan Peele. One of them. Keegan Michael Key is in it. Sterling Brown.
Edward James Elmos.
Yep.
Jake Busey, following his father being in the second one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I want it to be good, but obviously I'm really nervous, given that we've had the perfect one already.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what more you can do, but
I think what it would prove to me is if it's not as good as I hope, that's it now. You can't. No one else could possibly. Oh, Thomas Jane rumoured in brackets.
Yeah,
that could be a massive spoiler.
Well, we'll see. We don't know. They change their mind on all these things. But anyway, let's
finish up talking about this film. Yes.
Son of a bitch. Shut up, you idiots. It's time to give a score. Do it. Do it now.
Shall I go first?
Okay, yes. It would be my pleasure to listen to you.
I volunteer. I'm just having a quick look at the Box Office Mojo. They haven't got full information on it, sadly. They don't mention what the budget was, but they've only said the domestic total for, obviously, the US was 36 million, and it doesn't say what foreign is, so I have no idea if it made its money or not. My gut tells me it did okay, but not enough that they'd want them to do any more.
According to IMDb, the film had a 50 million budget estimated, and it made 36 million in the US. So with international and marketing, it probably
broke even.
Maybe at a push, yeah.
Maybe, yeah. So that's why we're not seeing any more talk of them doing any more of it. But I really, really enjoyed this film. I went in knowing next to nothing about it. I knew that who the actors were and the director and the writer, and I thought, okay, I'm probably going to like this. And to begin with, it was a bit confusing, and I thought, I think I've made a mistake here, that this is going to be a turkey. But as the film went on, and you have to really, it's not a film that you can just sit back, have a few beers, and just glaze over and watch it. You have to pay attention, which sounds strange for kind of an action comedy, but there's so many clues in there that you have to kind of make a note of them. Otherwise, some things will be really bizarre and confusing, and other bits will just to annoy you because you're thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. But the clues are all there. So I like that on a second viewing, I could see the breadcrumbs that he was dropping. So when it got to the end, I didn't have that, oh, that's ridiculous, you've just made it up as you go along, and it's all there on the page on the screen. So that was really, really good. I think the cast were fantastic. I can't fault them. I think this is my favourite role I've seen Ryan Gosling in. He really, really sold it, and he's really gone up in my estimations after seeing this. And I'm really looking forward, in some ways, to seeing what he does in Blade Runner. Because after seeing this and seeing Drive, I know he's got incredible range. So I wonder what he's going to do in that role, which is later this year, isn't it? It comes out?
Yeah. It's not that long at all.
July, I think early July or something. But
yeah.
So he was brilliant. Russell Crowe was brilliant. Kim Basinger was great. The young girl, they got the actress, the young girl, Angelou Rice, I think she's called. She was phenomenal. Absolute find. And stuff. Just stop saying and stuff. Just say she was doing that. God, that scene was...
One of the reviews here says a raucous buddy comedy, ... and stuff.
Yeah, I won't spoil it, but if you haven't seen the film, that's a great thing in it. But yeah, I trying to think, something I didn't like. At the end of the day, I didn't, because I got you to watch this film having only seen it a month previous. So that tells you how much I enjoyed it. So I'm giving it the full 5 bags. Boom.
Ooh, gosh.
Not a fault. I can't fault it. I can't. And it's probably one of my favourite Shane Black films. It's right up there with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Nice.
Go ahead.
I'm impressed. Okay, I have... You said it all. Yeah, I think I knew more about it going in than you, because I'd seen a few of the trailers.
Right.
And read up on it a little bit. But yeah, it's the stuff that I wasn't expecting that I like the most. So it is cynical, it is clever, it's very witty. The action in it is actually very good. We didn't talk that much about it, but actually the stunts and everything in it are impressive. I say good fights with a bit of humour, you can't go wrong, really. And it was the physical comedy and things like that I think elevated it. I agree with you. Very good performances, brilliant casting. I still think that the last kind of 15 minutes, it went a little bit awry, but only a little bit. But with that in mind, I'm going to give it a very, very solid 4.
Oof. Wow, okay.
So that's not bad,
No.
Overall.
Yeah, okay.
But interestingly, you saying about Ryan Gosling, there's a film I'm going to suggest you watch. It's not quite right for this show, but there's a film which is him, Bradley Cooper, Eva Mendes and Ray Liotta called The Place Beyond the Pines. Right. Have you seen that?
No.
He's a motorcycle stunt rider, but I'd be interested for you to watch that at some point, and then maybe on the show, maybe just generally, and let me know what you think.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't say too much, but yeah.
All right. I'll have to look at that. So that's it for this episode. We're going to talk a little bit about next month, Pete. Do you want to tell the listeners?
So next month we have a guest joining us, which is something we're going to do every now and then. I'm not going to spoil who that is, and so you'll have to listen next month to find out. But I will tell you the film that they have chosen. So yeah, that's what we can do occasionally is get a guest on, and they'll bring a film. They're not literally bringing us a film. Here's the Betamax, put it in for us. They will bring a film of their choice via the realm of telling us.
Yes.
And yes, the film we're going to cover is Highlander.
From 1986.
Yes.
There can be only one.
Although there'll be three of us.
Yes, and you can't tell him the name of the lead actor.
I haven't. I'm going to wait and see what he calls Christophe Lambert. And we shall see.
Christophe Lambert.
He's French. It's a French name.
We've done this. If you have no idea what we're talking about, go back a few episodes. It all makes sense. So next episode, we'll talk about that film and we'll ask our guest how he pronounces.
I wish now that it was him. I wish he was the guest.
So we could ask him.
And he'd go, no, mate, it's Christopher.
We could say, Mr. CL, please introduce yourself so we can get everyone pronouncing it correctly.
Exactly. Like me.
Like me. Right, so that's it for May. Next month is at Highlander.
Yes, and maybe we'll ask our guest if they can suggest a way to end the show.
Because we still haven't come up with anything that makes any kind of sense. So I'm just going to say, good night, Pete.
Bags out.
No.
You have been listening to Bags of Action. No bullshit. You'd better stick around for the next episode, because if you're lying, I'll be back.